one and all present here. I warmly welcome you all to this exciting edition of ASB Edge, Conversations That Inspire, a platform where we explore ideas, innovations, and insights that shape the world of business and beyond. Today's session is truly special as we dive into a theme that's shaping the future at lightning speed. Business meets artificial intelligence, the AI driven future, empowering tomorrow's business minds. A conversation about the evolving role of AI in business, innovation, and entrepreneurship. At ASB, we believe in preparing our students for the evolving demands of the industry. In line with that vision, we have recently introduced certification programs on artificial intelligence and machine learning, empowering our learners with future ready skills. Today's session is a key step in that journey, offering our students an opportunity to hear from a global expert in the field. And for this wonderful podcast session, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker and chief guest for today's session, Mr. Abhinav Pandey, sir. So we welcome you, sir. He's a global AI leader and a visionary in the tech industry. I'll be briefly reading his profile to introduce him to you all. Mr. Abhinav Pandey is a seasoned leader in AI and infrastructure, currently serving as Technical Program Manager, AI Infrastructure at Meta Platforms Incorporated, formerly known as Facebook. With over 17 years in the technology industry, his career spans role at major companies like Netflix, and he holds an MBA from UCLA Anderson School of Management, underscoring a strong blend of technical expertise and business acumen. At Meta, Mr. Pandey has spearheaded key AI initiatives, including leading infrastructure efforts behind Llama 4, Meta's cutting edge multimodal AI model series, advancing wearable AI devices such as Ray-Ban Meta and Oakley Meta, AI glasses showcasing the seamless integration of AI and mixed reality. Overseeing large-scale infrastructure projects like the commissioning of the Mesa data center, a cornerstone in Meta's global connectivity. Mr. Pandey's work sits at the intersection of innovation, infrastructure, and user focused design, driving real world solutions that empower businesses and individuals alike. His work spans across platforms we all use daily, like Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus, Facebook, and Messenger, making him an ideal expert to guide us through this AI powered transformation. So please join me in welcoming him. We welcome you, sir, to this podcast session.
Thank you.
And so we are truly also very delighted to have your presence with us. And I guess everybody is eagerly waiting to hear from you, sir. And therefore, I request you to please share a few words with us that will be very inspiring for all of us, sir.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, for welcoming me here. And it's a great opportunity to be a panelist today and talk about, how AI is emerging and how technology has emerged over the last few years, and it is emerging continuously. And I am expecting it to evolve a lot over the next few years as well, which we can talk about. Regarding me, you have already given my background, but I would, go a little deep, saying I have a bachelor's degree in computer engineering from State University of New York. After graduation, I started working as a software engineer. I worked in financial services, healthcare, and then about after 8 to 10 years working as a software engineer, I gained valuable insights, and then I pursued my MBA degree from UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles. And beyond that, I started working for Netflix. Netflix was a great company to work for. Got a lot of insights. Was pioneering AI and machine learning advancements at Netflix. And then for the last 3 years now, I have been working at Meta at a very fast-paced environment, and I am more than happy to talk more about it and guide people. So thank you.
So thank you for sharing your inspiring journey with all of us. And now can we begin with the session, sir, in the form of a Q&A?
Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. So we have heard a lot about companies like Meta and Netflix, and in fact, it's like a dream job for many. So, what does it actually take to land opportunities at these top companies like Netflix and Meta? We all want to know this from you, sir.
Absolutely. So, you have to build a background when you are, trying to get a job in a top company. And background means if today I tell you is get up in the morning and run a marathon, you will not be able to do that. You have to train yourself to run a marathon. So first you have to go on a special diet, then you have to do a 1K run, then you have to do a 5K run, then you have to do a half marathon, and then you run a marathon. So it's the same way, right? I mean, you have to make sure that you are gearing up. And for that, it's very important that, you have the knowledge and the skill set that the company requires, right? So first, you have to be very crystal clear on what is it that you want to do, right? And once you have your focus, you can look for opportunities within that field. So let's just take an example. If somebody is trying to be a product manager, so they need to have business knowledge and technical acumen that is required. When you look at the job description, it clearly states, okay, this is what you require. Now, in order to make the cut, I can tell you that 99.2% of the applicants are actually rejected from the time they submit the resume until the time they make it. So only zero point 0.8, which is like less than 1%, less than 1 in 100, actually make the cut. And so it is basically the cream of the cream that makes it. But anybody can do it. It's just like you have to have perseverance. If you do not get selected the first time around, don't lose hope. Try the next time around. In the meantime, try to build technical skill sets. If you're working for a technical company, what is important is you have to have that technical acumen. You need to know the technical jargon. And then at the end of the day, a lot of it is luck, and a lot of it is also, your interview capabilities. So that also, it's an acquired skill. Maybe, the first few interviews you don't do good, but that's okay. You learn from experience, from your mistakes, learn from it, go for it the next time around, and you will notice that progressively you keep getting better. So to summarize, I think to get a job at one of the top tech companies, you have to have a good profile. You need to know exactly what you want to do. And then, if you don't make the cut the first time around, don't lose hope. Keep trying and keep yourself getting better at it.
So yes, sir, these are in fact the valuable insights that you've given it to us for those who are aspiring to work with these top companies, sir. And sir, how would you like to describe the work culture at Meta? Because you find it very unique. How it is actually very unique and different from other workplaces. So we would really like to know about it.
Absolutely. So one of the unique things that I've seen is there is a very fast-paced culture. So fast-paced is like, I can tell you about my own career prior to Meta. The stuff that I used to work in 6 months, now I do it in 6 days. I mean, we say there is a running joke at Meta is like life move around in dog years, which is like, 1 year is 7 year in dog's life, right? So that's the common analogy that people give around. It's like it's very fast paced. So, you need to adapt to changes really quickly. I mean, you could be working on something today, tomorrow, that thing could totally go down the drain, and you could be picking up something new, and you could be working on that. I mean, don't be attached to something, because the world changes. The only thing which is constant is change, right? I mean, there is going to be change is going to happen, so you have to embrace it with open arms. So I would say that is something that is definitely a cultural shift. Is like, you move really fast, you break fast, and you move fast. So one of the cultures that is imbibed within the employees here at Meta, what I see is like, don't be afraid to take risk. Most of the people that I see around, they take risk. I mean, yes, not all risk will turn out to be fruitful. Take a calculated risk. If it fails, it fails. Don't be afraid to fail. And that is one motto, which it's the effort that you put in, because you are trying to build something or trying to do something new. You do not get penalized for it. That is a big cultural change in most of the companies that I have seen. Is like, oh, people are afraid to take risk. What if I lose my job? What if I do this, and then if in my appraisal it doesn't come out to be good? That is not the case over here. What they look for is the effort that you put behind it, not the final result. I mean, if you keep putting in effort, as I was telling you about the job interviews, eventually you will find success, and that is what they value. Another thing, on the cultural side, what is different is that you have freedom and authority. It's not like a 9 to 5 job, like you have to clock in, come to work at 9 o'clock, you clock out at 5 o'clock and go home. No, you are assigned a quantum of work, and you have to deliver that quantum of work within the stipulated time frame. Now, you work on it at night, you work on it during the weekends, or whenever you want to do it, you do it. So that is what I feel. There is a very good work-life balance. I mean, you have personal issues or something, that's perfectly fine. No need to inform anybody. You know your quantum of work, you know what your deadlines are, deliverables are, just meet those. So I would say, these are some of the things in terms of culture which are pretty different from other companies that I have seen.
That's really good way you have given a lot of glimpses about the unique work culture of Meta, sir. And I'm sure everybody, it's very good to, in fact, have that work-life balance. You are delivering good, putting your efforts, and having that balance, something that is required, and that definitely that makes Meta very unique and having a very unique work culture, sir. And now moving on to AI, sir, and its impact, in fact. So I just wanted to know about the role of AI and its impact in finance, auditing, supply chain, and customer service. So, if you could throw some light on it in lines with automation and fraud detection. So, how this AI role is changing and how it is impacting, so.
Yes, ma'am. So for this, it is important to understand the background of AI, right? How has AI evolved? And so when you think about AI, what is the first recollection that you have for AI? I think, if you go back to 1990s, if you remember, Gary Kasparov was defeated in a game of chess, and that was by a computer. That is where the AI started. That is where, the AI was born. It's like you are basically putting human mind or like power to think and you're giving it to a machine. So, that is where AI is. Now, if you are asking, in the last 3-4 years, the evolution has been immense. I mean, there was like, this down period where, between 1990 till 2022, there was like people were not talking a lot about AI. They knew what it is, but, they did not know the capabilities. And what blew it off is like the chat GPT coming in, and then, the models that they had, and then basically it was a total paradigm shift on how things work. I mean, earlier what used to happen is if you search something, right? I mean, if you search like, okay, what is the best restaurant, what it used to do is it used to get your location and it used to do a web crawl search on the web, and then it used to get results. Now with the introduction of generative AI, you generate the results. So basically, you train the data that you're not doing a crawl by searching something, you are actually generating it. So today, with the power of AI, if you search for an image of a dog, it will not look for a dog. It will imagine what a dog looks like and it's going to create a dog for you. And that is, the difference between AI. So I'll get to your question, but it's very important to understand what AI does and how it is different from traditional thinking. Now, there is no stoppage of where AI is going to land. I mean, it can be used in every walk of life, and it is already being used. I mean, within financial services in the United States, AI is being used as like, they look for trends and they look for pattern matches to figure out, what can be a possible fraud. I mean, there are new frauds coming out every day. So within the transactions, it'll scan the transactions, it'll scan the user profile when opening a new credit card or a deposit account or something. And, it'll basically apply those principles that have been and match a customer persona with those profile to understand, if there is any fraud detection happening. So, what a human mind could do, now that power has been transferred to a computer. And so, it's not just one. Now, there are millions, depending on, what is the compute capacity you're putting in. That many minds are working together to think something and, finding out more intuitive ways on how possible fraud can happen. So it is in every field. I mean, today in the United States, you don't have to, book a restaurant. You want to go out to eat somewhere, you don't have to go to a website. Just go to Google and use the Gemini, their model, and tell them, hey, I'm looking for recommendations for an Indo-Chinese restaurant. It'll tell you, it'll find out from the restaurant's website what times are available, and you'll tell it, okay, book it at 5 p.m. for me. It'll do it for you just like a human does. You don't need an assistant to do that anymore. So, it's every field that you can talk about today. There is AI, there is use cases of AI. They are slowly being rolled out. Give it another couple of years, 3 to 4 years, they will be like, AI altogether everywhere. I mean, two most popular use cases that I see is like today, Tesla delivered the first automated car to the user's home. So they have in Austin, Texas, they have a gigafactory, and just as of this morning, they had the news is like, the car was built and it automatically drove with the power of AI to the user. Now imagine the supply chain is changing so much, right? There is no dealer, there is no brokers, there is no car delivery salesman, there is no haggle pricing. All of that is already done by AI, and up to the point of where the car arrives at your home, it's parked, then you get a text message on your phone. It's like your new car is at your doorstep. So I mean, these are some use cases, and the reason I'm bringing out these various use cases is because these are at all walks of life. I mean, from education to banking till like eating out, till like your cars and everything is being controlled by AI.
So yes, sir. Thank you again for giving us a more clearer view, because you're absolutely right that AI is everywhere. So it's not at all an option. We have to adapt ourselves with the usages of AI. So moving towards the next question. So can you please share a roadmap to this transition from learning AI concepts to building real world AI applications or models? So learning to actually building them up. How this roadmap can you please define for us, sir?
Absolutely. So, what do AI models feed on? The AI models basically feed on the data, the user data that already exists. And, the most successful models are the ones which have basically fed the entire internet, right? I mean, for Meta, the Llama models, for Google, the Gemini models, for, OpenAI, the ChatGPT models. So basically, learning AI is learning the concepts, understanding, what the basic is, what, language learning models are, what machine learning is, and how they all integrate together. So that is the basic knowledge that is obviously needed in terms of, if you want to work. Now, within AI, there are multiple different career paths. I mean, you can be a technologist, you can be a product manager who's making roadmaps, you can be an executioner, like a program manager, or, you could be MLE, machine learning engineer. So you have to like, have that career path defined. And that is where, you take that knowledge and put it into execution on building the AI. Now within AI, there are multiple things. I mean, do you want to work on the server side? Do you want to work on the back end? So because, AI is not just limited to one place. I mean, on the infrastructure side, you need a lot of infrastructure. There is a lot of processing of data that needs to happen. For that, you need high capacity GPUs. So, you could build your own custom silicon, which is what Meta is doing right now. There is a team that does that. There is another team that is installing and maintaining the data centers. That is all on the hardware side. Then on the software side, there are, engineers who are training these models. So, from the time of learning till the time of actually working in AI, there are multiple different fields. I would say there are more than 20 different job profiles which are available. So you have to understand what is it that you want to do, what is your niche, what is your skill set. Some people are good at hardware, some people have a thing towards software, some people want to work on the front end, some people want to work on the back end, and some people don't want to work on the technical side of it. They want to create product roadmaps for AI, they want to create a vision, or they want to create a strategy. So right from the time of learning till the time of you actually working on it, it's a big long path. And for that, it's very important for you to learn the basics. I mean, if you learn the basics, you can apply those any way you want. But as they say, like in mathematics, I mean, the numbers, addition, subtraction. So you can do calculus, you can do differential equations, because that is the core of it. So this is the core. The learning of AI, understanding the basic concepts is the core. And once you know the core, then depending upon what interests you during the time that you learn the core is where you can apply it, and you can take your career forward in that field.
Absolutely, sir. I totally agree with this. Learning the core is something that is very important, and the way you have shared the roadmap with us, obviously, it will be very beneficial for the learners and the people who have joined us for this session, sir. And sir, we have been seeing that there are a lot of frauds that are happening in the banking and insurance sector. So, what, according to you, like how this AI can be used today to detect these frauds in banking and insurance, and what are the skills that are actually needed to work on such projects? This is so if you can throw some light on this as well.
Absolutely. So there are two skills of it, right? I mean, if you are specifically talking about insurance and financial services domain, then I would say there is obviously the financial skills that you need to have, plus you need to have the technical skills. And I mean, when I was working for financial services a few years ago, we were already, in the process of implementing or thinking about it on how AI can be done. And then, today, how the use cases, what are implemented over there is what are the different kinds of fraud that are happening right now, instead of somebody who's manually reviewing this, you're having actually a machine mind look into it and go over it. So as I was explaining it to you earlier, like let's just say that I am trying to, let's just do a use case. Now I'm a fraudster and I'm trying to create a fraud by trying to borrow money from 20 different banks at the same time, right? So, I mean, I have a credit profile, I can only borrow certain money, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to game the system. And by gaming the system, what I mean is I'm going to 20 different banks at the same time, their website, and trying to apply for credit cards so that, I get approved, which should not be the case. Now, how AI comes into play for this is it looks for your profile and concurrently it will basically send an alert saying like, oh, this person is actually, and they'll work with your ISPs, they'll work with, they'll track your user data, they'll figure out what is happening. The banks will talk to each other. They will have a FinCEN financial crime reporting teams that will interact and work together. Now, this is where the technology team comes in. Now, the banking team will basically tell the use cases, and the technical team will work together with the banking team or the financial team to work together to build these use cases into real life. Because I mean, if somebody is a banker or they're working in financial services, they might not be technical, and people who are technical might not know the jargons of banking. So, they have to work hand in hand. But now they will build subroutines and they will put AI on it. Is like, okay, what is it possibly that can go wrong in here? They will identify and create use cases on what can go wrong. Plus, it'll think like a human, is like, okay, these are the things that can go wrong. Now, if there are 100 people in the room today, what those 100 people will think is like 100 different ideas. But when you are running across multiple GPU cluster, imagine there are thousands, millions of brains trying to think what can go wrong. Now, you build your rules about what those million people can think and integrate it together. And that is how, you prevent fraud. You are now thinking like a real human on how can a fraud be committed, or you can browse and see like how fraud has been committed and make sure that, you are not part of it. And with AI, like for example, we used to see a lot of voice frauds. Now, what AI does is it does pattern recognition, voice matching, and stuff. Now, it will detect if even if you're trying to make somebody else's voice, is like, no, this person is not real. So it will block it. So, from the voice modulation also, it can figure out like, oh, there are multiple patterns. This is not the right person. So there are multiple use cases, ma'am, where, I feel that AI has been very instrumental. Just to put things to number, in the last 2 years itself, between 2023 to 2025, the financial fraud has gone down by 8%. Now, and this is from the global crime number. Now, if you look at 8%, it it's a small number, but if you compare it to the dollar value of it, or it'll like in billions. And this is how what AI has brought a revolution. Like they have found more intuitive ways where they have been able to bring this number down.
Yes, so this was very insightful, especially for the people who are very much interested and inclined towards the finance domain. And so, thank you for also sharing the facts with us, because it gives us a more clear image about how AI is helping, detecting the bank frauds. And so, you also mentioned about the generative AI. So, the most popular one, especially amongst our students, is ChatGPT today. Right, so just
Yes.
wanted to know from you that how is this generative AI, particularly if we talk about Chat GPT, is changing the landscape of AI and job opportunities for freshers, and how it is also impacting the businesses. So, in the future, how the businesses and the freshers should prepare themselves for these generative AIs.
Yes, ma'am. So as I was saying, in the future, in the near future, I should say, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. Nobody has to know like what's going to happen in 10, 15 years. Maybe something new will come. But as of now, for the next, I would say a 5-year roadmap looks like, see what is happening. Keep your eyes and ears open and see what is happening within the world today, and see how things are changing. So for the generative AI, I heard in the introduction, you have courses, you have certification courses. I feel like, they can be very helpful for new incoming students to understand how it is working. Plus, there are a lot of, I would say, videos, free videos that are available on YouTube. You can go watch them, which are very informative. And, there are, Google has launched, Microsoft have launched, even LinkedIn has, free learning that is available on, how to get started on Gen AI. And, once you look at it, that is when you will know, okay, this is like the basics. Once you know about it, it's like, okay, what are these LLMs? How do you generate? And, how do you tie things together? How does all of this ecosystem work together? And that is when, it will be an evolution. I mean, when you're born, you don't know what you're going to be, right? And then, once you go through primary school, that is when you have an inclination. And then once you get to middle school or high school, you're like, oh, I want to become an engineer. I want to become a pilot. I want to go to join the army or defense services. So that is an evolution. Once you start your AI journey, which is like, starting to learn from scratch, it will be an evolution. 99.9% of the people that I have seen, when they learn the basics, that is when they get to know, is like, oh, maybe this is for me, or maybe no, this is not for me. And this is just like with any other education, right? I mean, people see like, oh, you know what, I want to become a doctor because I am interested in this. Some people are like, no, 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 I'm not good at maths. Maybe I don't want to be an engineer. Maybe I can choose to be a lawyer or something like that. So, ma'am, that is how the evolution is. Like for the Gen AI, yes, get the basic knowledge. There are thousands of courses which are available online, paid courses, free courses, and then see if you have an active interest in it. And then, you can always find something within the AI itself, which can be, like you mentioned, within financial services, right? So you could be working in a financial services, in a bank, or in a finance company, and you could be working with AI team over there trying to deliver solutions. Doesn't mean like you only have to work for Meta or Google or Amazon or something like that. No, I mean, within that domain, or you could even be working in a hospitality industry, and you could probably involve AI in there and like trying to increase your customer base. For your marketing, AI is used immensely for marketing. So many teams use it, right? I mean, to show you customer based ads. Now that is also part of AI, right? I mean, we know your profile. Like Swati ma'am, I can say like, okay, you know what? She loves to eat Bengali sweets. I mean, so now when you open Instagram, I will show you Bengali sweet shops which are near your home so that you can go buy those, right? So that is all power of AI. Now, behind that, there are multiple algorithms that are running, but they are becoming more and more precise every day. There is always a possibility of making things better. But I mean, if you look at a year from today, go back a year versus today, if you look at targeted ads that we show you on Facebook and Instagram, they are much more relevant, right? I mean, if you want to go take a vacation to Thailand, now you'll get those reels. You want to go to Hong Kong, you search on it, and now you will start seeing those. So that is all power of AI. Now, how all of that happens, that is where it's all Gen AI and other stuff. So you have to start from the basics, learn the concepts, and eventually you will get there on what you want to do.
Yes, sir, it's very fascinating to hear from you that how tools like ChatGPT will be, creating a lot of opportunities for the students. I mean, we have a lot of considerations when we talk about ChatGPT, but yes, obviously it will be definitely useful for our students as well and for the future businesses as well. And sir,
Yes, ma'am.
now moving on to certain questions related to institutions and AI, sir. So there are a lot of educational institutions that are preparing their students towards AI. So how should education institution actually prepare their students to sustain themselves in a world where there is AI? So if you can, mention about this, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I think, AI learning is mostly like, real-time learning. I mean, you can read 1,000 books, but, once you do things practically, that is when, you get to learn it. So I would say for education institutions, the most important thing is like, real-time learning. For example, you can teach somebody, oh, you can create a chat GPT. Here is how you feed the data. But instead of that, I mean, if you like pull up an API and connect an API and then show like, okay, this try to do like a live project. Okay, let's, connect an API, feed your data in there and see what the output looks like. Okay. it doesn't look the way it is. Okay, let's fine tune the data again. Let's do it on the fly. I think, those hands-on experiments are going to be extremely helpful. And, that is what these AI models do. Like, I mean, they provide you these open source code. Most of them today is free, right? I mean, they're giving it to you literally for free. Go use it. And for education institution, I think it's a great opportunity for them to, work with the students and have more, real-time labs, or more hands-on exercises where people can actually use it. Because you can't cook by reading books. You have to like make your hands dirty. You have to like go cook, and that is when oh my god, this is what the book told me. But in reality, I don't need as much salt. I eat less salt. So you will fine tune it according to your taste, right? And that is with like building solutions within AI. You have to do it in order to learn it. Like real practical experience is very important. And again, the best part is like all of these tools are available for free. You can create a developer account, and on OpenAI they'll give you access to the free API key. Pull it in, right? I mean, try to build a solution out of it. You link it to your Git repository, do something, whatever you want out of it. So I would say for educational institutions, it's important that you understand the emerging trends, what is happening, and then in order to keep yourself updated, do real-time exercises, which will give students potential to learn a lot quicker than they would do just by reading a book.
Yes, definitely, sir. That's a very important perspective that you've shared with us. And I believe that's a very strong message for the educational institutions as well. Like a real-time exposure to things is very important in order to, the student should also get the time to explore these AI tools. And sir, we talked about the students who belong to the technical background. So obviously there is no escape. They have to come and explore the AI and generative AI. But what about the students who belong to the non-technical backgrounds? So if you can tell that why they also can't ignore AI. So if you can throw some light on this as well, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, this goes back to the previous example that I was talking about. I mean, if you look at it, AI is everywhere. I mean, you cannot escape it. I mean, eventually everything will be taken care, I mean, by AI, right? I mean, what they are saying is in the next 10 years, the cars will be driverless. In fact, last week I was traveling for work, and I was in San Francisco, and I called taxi, and Waymo taxi came. Waymo is a company by Google, and it was driverless. I mean, I was literally shocked. There was no driver. I put the address in the app. It took me to the place. The doors unlocked, and I got out. I felt like, like you're watching a movie you're living in the like 2070s or something, right? I mean, the steering is already turning and there's nobody in there sitting there. I mean, there are so many videos on YouTube. You can search those Waymo driverless taxis. So I mean, the reason I'm bringing this up is that the potential of AI is immense. You do not need to be technical. I think that is the biggest misconception, that you need to be technical in order to understand AI. There are so many ways you can contribute, right, towards AI. I mean, AI is always learning. There, like, I mean, let's just assume, let's just again do a small role play. You come from humanities background. Now, you don't have any technical background. Will you be like playing a role in AI? 100%, absolutely. There are data researchers. There are people who need to test the new technology before that gets rolled out. There are people who, so not everybody is just writing code, which is like technical. No, there are people who are building roadmaps. There are people who are actually testing this data. There are people who are like selling this data. There is like a lot of it. There are people who are creating partnerships. There are people who are doing analysis, right? All of those people are not technical. So, I would say this is one thing that I hear all the time when I, go for TED Talks is like, oh my God, I mean, I'm non-technical. Will there be any job for me in the near future? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yes, there is a competitive advantage that if you are technical, then, your opportunities are a lot more. But even if you're not technical, you will always have something to do, and especially within the AI world as well. AI is not going to eat jobs. It is just going to transform the jobs. That's what I say all the time. I mean, people are worried about, oh, AI is going to take my job. Yes, that particular job profile might not exist, but there will be something else that might exist. So, just look for that. I mean, keep your eyes and ear open, see how things are transforming, and look for that next big thing. So, to summarize, ma'am, I would say that there are more non-technical jobs available within AI than there are technical, and everybody has an opportunity.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And AI literacy is something that nobody can ignore, and it has become fundamental to all the fields. So, something that everybody
100.
should do the same, sir. And, sir, because students have also joined this webinar with all of us, and you've also spoke about it, that actually just wanted to again throw some light on it, that we at ASB are providing a specialized certification program on artificial intelligence and machine learning for all our students across all our programs, whether it is BBA, bcom, BSc, sir. So, what do you think? Will it provide a competitive edge to the students if they, pursue such certifications?
100%. I mean, so any certification, the value that I see is you demonstrate your knowledge towards it, right? Like, I mean, it just is. I mean, if I am an interviewer, I'm offering you a job, you have a certification that just gives me or instills confidence in me, is like you have real knowledge. Because when you go for certification, there is somebody who's backing up that certification, saying like, oh, I certify this person knows this, so that gives me confidence. So absolutely, I mean, I would say these certifications are the key in order to, I mean, if there are 20 people applying for one job, I mean, how you become a showstopper more than others, or how you are becoming a differentiating factor, is you hold these certifications. That, as an interviewer, makes me believe is like, oh, this person actually knows this stuff. It's not just like, he just heard some keywords and he is appearing for an interview, or he cleared it by fluke. No, he has already that knowledge. So I am a big fan of certifications.
Yes, sir. We are equally glad to hear this from you, sir. Coming this from you because you're specialized in this profession. So it is something that we are also very glad to hear, and this makes strengthens actually our belief in this initiative. So now we have that kind of a strong force with us that yes, we should definitely go with these certifications. And sir, when we look at the internships or the projects, when we talk about AI, so what kind of internships and projects should the students pursue to stand out in this AI and data science job market, because it's very challenging for them as well. So if you can share certain words about it, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I think, internships are very focused, and they have, because, they are very time duration. I mean, when you hire somebody on a full-time basis, then you look for them to be with the company for 3, 5, 7, 10 years, right? But if you're specifically asking about internships, those internships have a very narrowed down scope, right? I mean, we hire interns, I mean, all the time. I mean, every summer we have like thousands of interns that come in, and then, we create scope for them. And, uh, the benefit of hiring an intern is they are with you for 3 to 4 months. So, during that time frame, you can evaluate them and see if you want to give them a return offer. So, instead of hiring freshers, we are in the process of hiring more interns, because that gives us an opportunity to evaluate the person before we hire them. It's like a, test drive or trial run for students. So I would highly, highly encourage students to apply for internships, because that will set them on a trajectory to find a good job down the line. I would say that, last year our retention was about 85%, which means like of the 100 students that did the internship, 85 of them, we absorbed them full time, right? So internship is the key. Now, the next part of your question was, how do you find these internships? So internships are, as I just mentioned, it's a very, specific focus. So when you are looking for internships, those job descriptions will tell you, okay, this is what I want you to achieve or do within the stipulated time frame of 3 to 6 months that you are with the company. If that is something that interests you, you feel that you can do that, then, go apply for it. And, every company, like in the job portals itself, you can go apply. One thing that I would say, which still works in the job market, obviously with the evolution of AI and everything, is human to human interaction and referrals, right? I mean, if I know somebody, I can refer them, and that still holds a lot of value. So for internships, what I would say is, use your network, use your college network, your friends network, and then, reach out to them, and they actually refer you, and that is when, go. Then everybody goes through the same process of interviewing and so on. Preparing for the interview is a different altogether ball game, but internship interviews are a lot easier, because they understand you don't have a degree yet, you're still in the process of it, and then, you have a very narrow scope. So yeah, highly recommend internships. The way to go through them is look for the scope, look what they are looking for, see if you can work on it, find out somebody who's working over there. That will give you an extra edge. Even if not, talk to the recruiter and make your way in.
Thank you, sir. Again, I believe networking is the key. Like the students should look for networks, and this is extremely helpful advice that you have given it for our students who are looking for meaningful industry exposure, sir. And sir, we have heard about a lot of terms like AI engineer, data scientist, machine learning engineer, data analyst. So different words are there. So how do this AI and ML roles differ in the industry, sir? If you can share about this perspective.
Yes, ma'am. So it's like a different focus on who wants to do that. So let's just say AI research scientist, right? Let's start over there. So AI research scientist, what it means is like this person is researching. So these are usually people who have a PhD degree, they have in computer science or electrical or somewhere over there. They are like this is a very specialized role. And I mean, when you basically Google it or chat GPT it now, as they say, you will find the role descriptions of all of these so you can see. Now, that's a very specialized role. Now, when you're looking at an MLE is a machine learning engineer, and MLE's job is to basically, train these models and, make sure, if the models are failing, run those jobs, create jobs, and make sure that, you are training these models correctly to perform the job or the duty that they are supposed to do. Now, if you're looking at other roles of like an AI engineer, now AI engineer is a very, I would say, ambiguous role. It can be classified into different aspects of it. AI engineer on the front end or on the back end, like AI engineer could be working on developing custom silicon chips. They could be working on data center installing racks. They could be working on the backend side of it. So there are that role is pretty ambiguous. Then there are like data engineers. Now these data engineers are the ones who are actually curating the data and making sure that the right set of data is available. They are testing the data to make sure you're training your models on the right data. So, and then there are other people who are building dashboards. Dashboards are like visualization, which basically show you how your data, how your training jobs are performing. So, ma'am, there are like more than 100 different sub job profiles within AI. All of them have that big umbrella of AI, but some are focused on front end, back end, data, hardware, software, and so on. Now, again, all of them are equally important because they are all part of the AI ecosystem. But then again, you have to understand what is it that you want to do. It's like, there is a doctor. I mean, I'm just giving you an analogy. Now, somebody is a doctor who's an orthopedic surgeon, somebody is a cardiac surgeon, somebody is a thoracic surgeon. So it's like that way, right? I mean, they all come under the big field of doctor, but they have this super specialization, and that is within AI that you see these different roles. These are all like super specialization into a particular field of AI.
Thank you, sir, for actually clarifying and differentiating these different roles, because when you talk about the AI and ML ecosystem, these are the words that we usually hear, and it becomes little difficult for everybody to classify. And sir, moving towards the last question from our end, before we begin with the questions from our audience. So actually, when we talk about the beginners in these fields, so when we talk about AI, machine learning, data science, the people who are beginning with applying and learning these things, they're usually not tend to make mistakes. So what mistakes should beginners avoid actually when applying and learning AI, ML, or data science, sir?
Yes, ma'am. The biggest mistake is people lose interest very quickly because this is something that does not work on the first try, and you have to keep on trying, right? I mean, don't give up on it. And there is instead of doing self learning, that is where the certifications come in handy, because they have a path. As I was mentioning to you earlier, you have to go through a path. You have to learn A, B, C, D, and then you have to start building two-letter words and three-letter words. You cannot directly start into building sentences until you have learned what the ABCs are. Now, learning that in the right order is very important. The mistake that I see students doing is they will basically just start from somewhere, is like go search on ChatGPT, Google, wherever. It's like, oh, I want to learn AI. and that will lead you to some course. You'll do that and you'll be like, I don't understand what is happening over here. So, it's very important that when you do a start, you do a guided start, you are holding hands, you're doing some sort of a course, and you're following the pattern. That is very imperative to a good start. Is like, do some hand holding, because once you lose interest, it's very difficult to come back to it, because it kind of gives you a scary thought. Is like, first time around, you did not succeed. And oh my God, what if this happens again? Or maybe, this is not for me. People make that decision too quickly. Oh, I don't think this is for me. No, give it another try. Once, you will get to know, is like, oh, there are multiple things that you can do. One of the questions you asked me earlier, ma'am, was like, is there scope for people who are non-tech? Absolutely. But the general mindset of people is, oh, if I have to work on AI, anything AI, I have to be super technical. No, that misconception needs to, kind of go away, and people need to understand it's like, no, there is space for everybody to do certain stuff or some stuff. So when you are learning, please, I recommend follow a pattern, take a certification. That will take you through a guided process, because if you do a wrong start, it's very difficult to come back to it.
So, sir, you have given a great confidence to the beginners. I believe that now they will also have that confidence to begin applying and learning AI and ML. So, and so now with your permission, can we move towards the audience questions, because everybody is very excited to have an
Yes,
interaction.
ma'am. Absolutely.
So I'll start with actually Dr. Sona Vikas, ma'am. She's a Dean ASB Academic, sir. Ma'am, if you can please start with it.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Uh, it was wonderful hearing, from literally the horse's mouth regarding AI and, coming from the management background, it gives us the confidence that yes, we can overcome that, dilemma of whether we'll be able to fit in this AI tech world. So my question is primarily related to entrepreneurial orientation that our students have today. If a student is planning to start, his business at some point, how can he or she use AI even if he doesn't have that strong technical background?
Yes, ma'am. Excellent question. So, when you are thinking about starting a business, you have to understand, what kind of business. So, there are different industries. Now, AI will be applicable in every industry. So, you have to first get the knowledge of that industry. Let's say you want to open up a car dealership, for example. So, within that, you need to understand, what is the entire process, what is from the start to the end, and then you need to understand what the entire supply chain process for that is. And that is when you can think about, I'll just pick car dealership as an example. Is like, okay, what is it that I can do to automate over here? Maybe employee timekeeping. Maybe I don't even need employees. If somebody wants to buy a car, they go online, they can have an AI chatbot. In the AI chatbot, they will enter information. What are you looking to do today? Service your car or buy a new car? On the new car, then it'll greet with a message like a real human. It's like, hello, can you please give me your name? You put your name in, and then it'll customize saying, hello Sona ma'am, what is it that you want to do today? Do you want to buy a new car? What color? What are your color preferences? How many people are there in your family? Seven-seater. Okay, this is seven people. Okay, this is what I can recommend you. So what I'm saying is, ma'am, you have to understand what the use case is. Every industry. I mean, you name an industry and I can tell you the use case for that industry. They will have it. But it is important for you to understand the ecosystem for the, a new entrepreneurial venture that you are trying to get to. You have to understand it fully, and then you have to find out ways where, you can introduce AI and make the life easier for your customers and for the people that you support as well. So that is the key, ma'am. Understanding the logistics of the business in and out, and then finding key areas where you can implement AI.
So, are there any available AI tools that student entrepreneurs can use to test their business ideas and understand customer behavior?
Absolutely. There are so many of these tools available. I mean, there is funding also that is available. There are tools that are available, on the Perplexity, and these. I mean, obviously they are very industry specific. But if you're asking for a platform, yes, there are a lot of tools available, and there are a lot of platforms available that help entrepreneurs get into it and understand how you can get started. I mean, there is a huge list. I mean, I could probably send it to you after the call, but I would say there are 20 platforms that are currently existing where you can go do your research, you can build the product. They provide you all the support that is needed. And all of this, the best part is it's free of cost. You don't pay a dime for it.
That sounds wonderful. In fact, it'll be very exciting information for our students. And given the fact that today most of them want to get into entrepreneurial ventures, it will be a fantastic starting point. So that will be wonderful if you
Absolutely.
can share that list with us.
For sure.
Great.
Thank you, sir. Definitely, it will be very encouraging for our budding entrepreneurs, I would like to say, because they have also joined this session, and definitely it will be a very useful piece of information for them.
Sure, man.
Okay, yes. So the question from Dr. Omkar Nath sir is, how is generative AI going to affect the very popular searches like Google research and repositories like Wikipedia? So if you could answer this question, sir.
Yes. So, this is already happening today. I mean, most of this, not most, but all of the search in Google is actually now by generative AI. Now, if you go to Google and you search something, you will see an icon on top, which is like Gemini response, right? That Gemini response is nothing but a chat GPT response, or, their model response, which is part of, the AI that is there. So now what is happening? You need to understand what is the difference between a Google search versus, the AI search. In a Google search, what it used to do is there are billions of web pages. It used to do a pattern recognition, which we call as a web crawler. That web crawler used to run, and then did pattern recognition and figure out these responses. Now, here what is happening is now it is curating these responses based on it, and it is actually trying to answer like a real human. Like, let's say you ask Google a question today about, hey, I am not feeling well, I'm having an sore throat. Now, earlier what it would do is it will search everybody who has sore throat. It will give you first 10 links and then another 20, and you have to go search for it. Now it will tell you, hey, you're not feeling well, looks like you need an antibiotic, you probably need to see a doctor. Now what it did is, based on that, it applied its own mind, and then it gave you an answer saying like, this is what you need to do. So that is already happening. Google has already changed. The traditional search is not working anymore. Traditional search is down by 87%. Most of them is the AI search that is happening today. And outside of Google, all big platforms have already incorporated it. You go to a platform, Google, Facebook today. Under Facebook, you read somebody's story, it'll automatically prompt you saying like, if 100 people are writing congratulations, it'll prompt you, and you just have to click on it and it'll post congratulations. If there is a story to it, it'll summarize it and put it behind it. That is all part of AI, which is already incorporated.
So yes, definitely, sir. Generative AI is definitely changing the landscape, and it becomes very easy for people to, instead of going on search engines, to search something on generative AI, sir. And so moving
Absolutely.
to your wonderful question. So it is, you talked about voice recognitions, right, sir? So
Yes.
one of the questions that has come from our attendee is, can AI mimic voice? And if it can mimic voice, then how do the financial services ensure safety, sir? So again, about finance and AI.
Absolutely. This is an excellent question. So, what happens is, yes, AI can recognize voice, and it can do it at a much better way, more than what humans can do. So, when you break down a voice, there are about 100 plus pattern within a voice, right? There is tenacity, there is, the pitch, there is, I mean, I'm not an audiologist, but there are multiple ways how you can break down a speech. So, when we register your safe pass key or your voice, what we do is, behind the scenes, we break it down into 100 different parameters. And, it's almost impossible or practically impossible for somebody to break that way and mimic it exactly the same, because from the outside tone it would look like somebody is mimicking, but when you do a deep down breakdown of the voice, there is no way that you can find an exact match to it. It has like 256-bit encryption which is happening on these voice models, which have been broken down, and it's almost impossible. So going back to the question of like, on the voice, how it is doing. Oh, AI is already doing that. Most big platforms, Bank of America, Chase, Fidelity, they all have these like voice prompts where you don't even need to verify your information. Based on once you call in, they will recognize the voice. They'll do a pattern recognition in the backend, and they'll say like verified. We took your voice prompt, and that is if somebody tries to replicate it, it's not gonna work. And this use case has been tested millions of times that it doesn't work.
Yes, so that ensures safety, sir. That gives a amount of relief as well. And
For
moving
sure.
next question, sir, that is coming from Vidya Lakshmi. So the question is talking about promotions and marketing. So what is the role of AI in sales, promotions, and direct marketing in any business sector? So though you have answered it mostly, sir, but a little more emphasis if you can put on this, sir.
Absolutely. So, I think this is one of the use cases where AI is being used very robustly. Most of, the sales. So, I mean, look at Facebook today, right? I mean, the example I was giving you, Swati ma'am, earlier was, I mean, if you want to push an item on you, we show you relevant reels on Facebook, right? Or Instagram. And that is direct marketing, right? I mean, depending on your interest. Now, there is sensitive data that we need to protect, like your ethnicity, your age group, all of that information we cannot give out to the marketing team. But, certain information about your likes and dislikes, that information, we sell the data. So, we show you that relevant information, what you want or what you are kind of looking for. So I would say that field is the best use case and the most monetized use case on direct marketing that we have, which is like, everywhere you see, AI is like targeting ads which are very, very, very relevant to you, and we are reducing the false positive. Our, the false positive rate is less than 8%. What that means is that 92% of what we are showing you as a direct marketing is relevant to you. We don't show you something which is like, you're not kind of interested in. So the stickiness to the ads has gone up. Earlier, people just used to, click next on the ads. Now people actually watch those ads. So that we call as stickiness is like, how long are you sticking to the platform? That has gone up.
So thank you, sir, again for sharing how it can help in businesses and promotions as well, AI. And just one last question we can take, sir, because of the paucity of time. It has come from a student, and the question is also from a student perspective that he's a student of of BCA stream, sir, and he's asking that talking about cracking any interview. So once his degree is completed, can he use AI and generative tools to crack any interview of a very good company, sir? So if you can,
Absolutely. Yes,
yes.
ma'am. I mean, you can do mock interviews within AI. There are so many platforms which are there. Like one of them I can tell you is Pramp, PRAMP.com, where you can do practice mock interviews where AI is there. So what it does is it evaluates. So it will give you a question and then you answer the question. And I mean, it feels like you're talking to a real person, but you're talking behind the mic. And then AI will evaluate your answer and then it will tell you points which are missing. Like it'll ask you is like, okay, what are the different LLMs that you know? And then, you mentioned three of them. And then after your interview is over, it'll ask you 10 questions. It'll basically tell you, hey, Rohit, for your question number one, you could have also said this answer, or, your answer was very good, but, you could also include this in your answer to make it better. So for interviewing, AI has been very helpful. There are websites like educative.io that have, real-time interview prep courses based on AI. So I would say that, mock interview preparation, getting interview feedback, transcribing through AI, all of this is very, very important and is already being utilized by multiple platforms like resume screenings, the ATS, application tracking softwares. They are all AI based now. So, they look for keywords on the resumes and so on. So, within the HR industry for job preps, for interviews, all of that, AI is already very powerful and highly incorporated.
Thank you, sir, so much again for sharing this with our students because this will help them in cracking very good interviews of good companies, sir. And sir, moving towards the end, so it has been a very insightful and enlightening session, I believe, for all of us. And the clarity that you have towards these concepts, in fact, adding with your experience and vision is something that has truly inspired our students and faculties alike. And this has actually deepened our understanding of AI transformative power, and it has also opened our doors to future possibilities, sir. So now we can have a very great clarity about the certain concepts that we lacked information upon. And I, as a faculty, am also very, excited to now apply all these tools in my teaching methodology. That will also be very helpful for our students as well, sir. And we are sincerely grateful for your presence and contribution to this ASB Edge, sir. And lastly,
Thank
I
you.
would also like to thank my audience for making this session extremely engaging and meaningful session. So thank you so much. So everybody is
You're
very
welcome.
wonderful session, sir.
Thanks, Sona ma'am. Thank you, Swati ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think after your session, a lot of people will be interested in pursuing AI. So thank you everyone for today.